Oh, we're live.
Okay, welcome to the Regional School District 13 Board of Education Building Committee meeting, March 4th, 2026 at 5 p.m. Please stand for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the Republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, we'll go around, introduce your name and affiliation. Howard Weisberg, Building Committee.
Kim Rubik, Director of Finance.
Dave Cravenzola, O&G Industries.
Laurel Purcell, O&G Industries. Christine Cowan, Board of Ed.
Bob Moore, Board of Ed.
Mark Simmons, Board of Ed.
Sydney Leggett, Superintendent.
Jamie Rohrbeck, Board of Ed.
Lucy Petrello, Board of Ed.
Rob Croston, Building Committee.
John Cross, Building Committee.
Greg Button, Building Committee. Eric Pratt, Facilities.
Marnie Liska, STV. Angela Cahill, STV.
Do we have anybody online?
We had Phil just joined us.
Great.
We're bringing him in as a panelist. There we go.
Excellent. There are no members, to public comment, no members of the public, in person, anybody online?
No.
Okay. And 3, approval of agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Well. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, we have a motion to approve the agenda, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, approval of minutes, February 18th, 2026. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve minutes, February 18th, 2026.
The second. Also go. Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes of February 18th, 2026. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Okay, item number 5, memorial renovation and expansion. We'll start off with, why don't we start off, Marnie, you wanna start?
Sure.
Give us a heads up.
Sure. So, the RFP for, the hazardous materials consultant, was posted. And I, made a couple calls to some firms. We ended up getting 5 bidders, to submit, pricing. And today, him and myself, Carson and Rusty, hi there,
Hello.
got on a call to review the results. So this is a spreadsheet of those results. This was, a unit price format RFP. And rather than a lump sum, this is really an estimated total because the quantities of air clearance testing, and hours required for meetings and such can vary. So, Carson had been nice enough to develop an RFP with quantities. He had consulted with Tony actually on what the expected quantities would be for this project. So we did have a baseline on the quantities. And the tests cover everything from asbestos air clearance testing to PCB testing and so forth. You can see by the bid results, that the low bidder is actually, not Eagle Environmental, TRC. So the second bidder would be Pannoni. And the third bidder, would then be Eagle. So you can see, there were 2 firms, Eagle Environmental and Enviromed, who offered, additional pricing for indoor air quality sampling. We weren't too sure of why they did that, which is one of the things that Carson, Kim, and Rusty and I discussed today. And we were under the impression that all of the air tests that would be necessary would be covered in the rates above. But I ended up giving Pannoni a call and asked them a series of questions, including that one. And they assured me that no additional IAQ sampling should be required, that the quantity of, sampling that's in the above rates was sufficient. And I also asked, just for my own knowledge, a couple other questions, like the difference between a PCM clearance test and a TEM clearance test. I reviewed the O&G schedule, which breaks down the work into 5 phases. To make sure, you know, the quantities that we have are sufficient and so forth. So, based on my analysis and discussion again with Carson and Rusty and Kim, our recommendation, is that the building committee to keep continuity on the project, move forward with Pannoni, but of course that's up for discussion. All of these firms are qualified firms. We've all worked with one or more of them at any given time, but in the interest of, again, continuity on the project, familiarity with the project, and the fact that Pannoni's bid is actually very close to the low bid, which is Enviromed, our recommendation is for Pannoni. But we're happy to answer any questions that you may have, and of course, it's up for your discussion and consideration who you want to give a contract to.
If I can add on to what Marnie is saying, that also looking at the purchasing policy, consideration shall be given to previous work performed by the bidder for the board or other agencies. So Pannoni has worked for us, so that qualifies them as also being lowest responsible bidder. So whenever there's kind of this thing, previous experience of work in the district kind of does give consideration to that, so.
So the IAQ, that wouldn't be required. So the state required, this is a new law. That would be something you would do 3 to 5 years down the road. I mean, I don't know if you start.
We do it on every one of our jobs, just because it's typically done for a lead project. So I assume that's what
This is different.
this is.
State exec has come out, this is specifically for schools that, over the course of you have to do it every year, you have to do a, HVAC checklist, and then every 3 to 5 years, you have to have an IAQ inspection by an engineer. It's a kind of a separate operation, but that wouldn't come into play till after we've already occupied the building in the 3rd year down the line. So we would include that in this project. Okay. Everything else should be picked up as part of the design. So we won't need that here.
Yeah, there is one benefit that comes to it that I've dealt with on just dealing with end users and, in this case, maybe like crazy parents. An IAQ plan shows you that the air is contested, the air is perfect, it's fine, it's healthy. So when you are dealing with people complaining that, hey, the renovation.
Yeah, no,
So that's the benefit.
Yeah, but you could get that done for
Yeah, it's
$800
usually,
bucks.
it's a square footage.
You're gonna get a test and balancing report. They're gonna verify fan sizes. They're gonna verify, all that's being done as part of the project. That's all they're gonna do on AIQ anyway. So it's not necessary here. You're gonna end up with the same results. This is something you're gonna do down the line. I'm not even sure they would reimburse this.
Well, only one firm supplied that.
Yeah.
So.
And then TEM, and the point count that versus the TEM, that's just if you had like a plaster at 1% and you needed to zero it in, you would use the PCM. So I don't think we'd have that on this project. It's doubtful. TEM would probably be 99% of the testing. So I think your spreadsheet shows that correctly. So, yeah, I'm fine with that, Eric. I know you
Absolutely.
like Ron, he knows the district. I'm okay with it.
He's also familiar with this project, right? You need somebody on board within a week and a half. Because we're gonna be starting, so to get another firm up to speed with what this particular project requires.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against Enviromed. I use them myself many times as well as the other folks, but we had some dealing with them phase one, and they were very, very good. So,
There's just a finance question here. Maybe I'm just slightly confused. Because if the IAQ is not required, we don't need to do that. And Eagle is actually like $13,000 less. So that's a pretty significant difference. And actually, Peroni is the second highest bidder then.
Yeah, that's definitely a consideration. I didn't bring a copy of the project budget, tonight. It hasn't changed since the last time it was presented. Our total, budget for this line item is 85,000, just as a reference to the committee. So, yeah, that is a consideration, you know, for the committee
Yeah.
to think about, you know, what's more important. Is it familiarity with the project and continuity on the project, or is it price?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value into that familiar. I know he has our historical district kind of consultants, hazmat for the last 20+ years, so. You know, that would be my recommendation, and he's already there, you know, he's doing a lot of the pre-surveys with that school. I mean, he has the lay of the land, getting somebody new in there and, you know, starting over there's some value to that.
Did you, when you called, Panonin, didn't he indicate that that was included in his price already or no?
What?
The indoor air
No,
sampling, so these
no.
extra ones?
Oh,
Okay.
no, he indicated
Wasn't-
that it wouldn't be
Wasn't
necessary for
necessary.
this scope of the work.
Okay.
And that makes sense, that.
Yeah, it's an add-on service, so.
Okay.
So just to be clear, our purchasing guidelines do allow us to not necessarily go with the lowest bidder, but to take other factors into account as familiarity, ability to mobilize quickly.
Yeah,
I guess the concern is we don't know how quickly these other firms can mobilize, so are we comparing apples to apples?
Yeah, I'm not too sure as much about the mobilization, but certainly the familiarity with the building. You can't beat the fact that Pannoni actually was the one who did all the sampling. You know, they're actually the ones who, you know, went into the tunnels and, you know, went on the roof. So, I mean, they do have a knowledge base that's far in excess of the other bidders. I think any of them would be able to respond quickly and get a technician on site if the committee decided that price was the goal. But again, there's a lot to consider. There are other considerations other than just price.
They did the original assessment of what the removal would be.
They did.
And this is part of like the state reimbursement, you can get reimbursed for hazmat costs. So what I would recommend is that if we're gonna go with not the lowest quote, because then it's also a state reimbursement with OPM guidelines, I would say you just want to clearly document like something, Kim, Eric, like internally of just kind of saying exactly what everyone's saying of like, given the history like of this vendor, like just because they could push back on that then.
well, these would fall under consultants, right?
so
So consultants is, more RFP,
Mhm.
RFQ/RFP, so.
Yeah, I
a
don't
little more
think you
leeway.
necessarily have to take the lowest bidder.
Correct.
As long as you bid it.
Professional
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying of like one thing we're.
But even
Yeah.
still, lowest responsible qualified bidder, which we
Yeah.
could say, we think they all are, right? But then the tiebreaker, it would be a past service in the district, and that's,
Yeah.
to me, is where Pannoni can come in, but if that's dollar amount is what, you know, or whatever,
Well,
we can
Before we say
substantiate
that-
Pannoni.
this is, the dollar amount isn't even right.
not.
It's unit pricing. So you should be looking at the unit pricing that think you're gonna use the most, right? You just estimated, these services based on, you know, our initial inspection. This isn't to say that there's gonna be exactly 2 PCM clearances, right? We don't know what the final is. We certainly expect it to be somewhere less than this, right? So Eagles could go up, Bronies could go down, or vice versa. That's true. So
I guess
to
that-
me, again, you wanna pick who you think really could do the best. Now, the piece time-wise that's more important for me is they have to put a project plan together right away, get to the state. And that time frame, I think is very important in order to get this stuff underway to maintain the schedule. To me, that's a little more important than a couple of dollars on a unit price. Every one of these contractors could do the job. But I think we gotta get, in my opinion, if we could get a procedure to the state to get our permit, they're probably the ones that could do it the quickest.
Curiously, why, everybody else has 60 days, but Kiamon has 165 days?
The quantities were actually on the bid form. Kiambon was the only bidder that went in and modified the bid form and kind of took liberties with it.
So I noticed that everyone else has 50 hours of
Yeah,
PM time, they have 134.
Yeah, they were-
Why,
they're definitely on a different page.
They're still high, even if you took the.
Yeah,
cost
I
and
looked at
compared
it.
it against it.
it just seemed that was odd that they have triple the amount of time as everybody else and raise a flag of, do they think it was?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, if you look at the largest number there, which is their hourly rate, Eagle and Ronnie are actually the same. They're 40,800, 40,000. I mean, to me, that's most of the number. So, you know, I'm not necessarily looking at estimated total as I am the unit pricing and who can do it the quickest.
High and Bond is normally just a civil engineering firm.
No, they have,
They do both.
they have a hazmat, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I've done a lot of work. They do a good job, but they're the
Yeah.
highest, yeah.
They usually offer the comprehensive service, the
Yeah.
entire design, all the
Yeah, right.
regulatory requirements. As well as then the on-site monitoring.
All right, so I guess
Well,
the question
David,
is.
Dave was just bringing up something. I think that's important to bring that up.
You know, like the
We
PCM air
negotiate.
samples, right, to go from 250 per each to 9. If you have the ability to do some negotiation, there's a. That's a.
Are they allowed to negotiate with one of, I guess not, you have to
Yeah.
negotiate.
So the way Pedoni explained it to me, the PCM test is used when you have a work area of 260 square feet or less, or 160 linear feet of ACM or less. And a TEM test is used for work areas that are larger than that. So based on the current O&G plan of areas A through E, 5 areas, it seems that we'll need 5 TEM clearances, and because we're not trying to like move kids right back in, there's no reason why we need any rush turnaround. So if you actually go and look at it as you're doing 5 TEM tests, it's actually less money than what's quoted here for the 2 PCMs, 2 TEMs, with 24-hour turnaround, and 2 TEMs with courier with rush turnaround. So, it's actually a little less. So, you know, and it's a good point. It's, you know, that John makes, this isn't like a perfect picture of how the job's gonna run.
Right.
You know, there could be situations where the abatement contractor, you know, wants to do a tack board, you know, or a small piece of pipe installation in a glove bag, and that might have different requirements. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the plan that they submit to the state is more important. And if they can get it done in a timely fashion, I might have asked them during the bid, is, you know, how long, what, you know, how many days you need to put the plan together? You know, that's more important than these overall estimated numbers, so.
Have they been responsive, Carson, in terms of turning their work product around quickly?
So there. Yeah. We
This-
haven't had
they-
any issues during the design
Yeah.
phase, so.
so these quantities were really kind of like a favor from, you know, Benoni helped us put together this RFP so that we would be able to evaluate, are we even in our budget? You know, do we think that we can get these services even in our budget? Rather than if we didn't have any quantities at all, we would have no idea where we're gonna end up.
So are you saying, Marnie, that typically we just ask for unit pricing and not
Yeah,
quantities?
if you didn't have the quantities,
Okay.
you wouldn't have any outside envelope of where you could end up.
So
The quantities are meant to create a even playing field to all respondents at that point, just so it
Right,
gives this
yeah.
board a metric to kind of compare against.
Well,
It is an estimated number still at
Yeah.
that point, but from a reasonable association with Panoni and what they thought the values were, that's where we kind of started the conversation.
well, that helps the bidder see the magnitude of the job. So then really typically in a bid evaluation, you'd really just be looking at the unit rates.
Right, if we just put unit rates of quantity of one, it wouldn't be as representative of the job. We actually have a higher quality of information here because when Panoni helped us with the RFP, he was thinking of the specifics of the job when he recommended the quantities. So this is probably the most accurate picture of what the total outside figure would come to.
Just as the person who's always gonna be worried about the kids getting in on time, if this helps move the project along and they can have a project plan ready, I don't think a $13,000 bid difference should hold us back from that. Yes.
Okay, I think that's been a great discussion. So obviously the concern is the familiarity with Panoni and Panoni with the project enough to justify the difference in cost. We have a number of responsible bidders. It's a matter of whether or not Panoni's advantages mitigate the cost difference. So I'll entertain a motion if anybody wants to motion.
So I have the motion right now if anyone wants it, but I have to fill in who you're gonna bring forward.
If you read it, somebody can say so moved.
Okay, so am I bringing Tony?
Well,
Or, because if it's, I can put another vendor there, you tell me.
well, we would need to.
Well, we'll have a
agree
further
on that.
discussion after the
Yeah.
motion, correct?
Yeah, why don't we, it sounds like the leaning is towards making a motion for
Okay.
Panoni first.
Okay, motion to approve award of RFP number 2025-007, Regional School District 13, Memorial School Hazardous Material Construction Testing and Monitoring, State Project number 213-0051, RNV-EA, to Panoni for the base bid amount of $80,168.50. Anybody want to make that motion?
Somebody would need to say so moved, and that'll be whoever technically makes the motion.
Is it not to exceed?
I was gonna say, I think that should read not to exceed,
Base bid not to exceed.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, as amended, not to exceed $80,168.50.
Also moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor for awarding the RFP for hazmat consultant to Panoni in the amount of base bid not to exceed.
$80,168.50.
Okay, any discussion? Yes, I'll start the discussion. I guess it's Panoni has familiarity with the project and a past history with the district in performing services at a high level and have provided quick turnaround. The other end is they are $13,000 higher than the low bidder.
Again, I'd like to make a point, it's not a bid.
The low.
It's really in the end
It's a price.
It's what makes the difference. I guess I have one question, mostly for you, David, or the 60 days worth of, does that make sense for you? How accurate do you think that is for
I think they had our schedule,
3
our
months?
abatement schedule.
Yeah, hold on, I was actually just looking at the schedule that Jay published today for.
I don't know if that's based.
Yeah, so we issued
They
the
had our
OMG
schedule.
issued schedule with the RFP, as well as indicating a mobilization date starting the 16th.
Which is March 16th,
March
and then I don't remember when that, I don't remember on our schedule when the abatement ended, and it just turned into
Yeah.
clean demo.
Seems
Yeah,
like.
that's, I'm adding up durations here and I'm sure there's some, I think we have some concurrency in there and it's.
Yeah, because
today
those two
seems-
areas at the same time.
Yeah, so the 60 seems right. Yeah.
3 months.
I think it's also worth mentioning that someone, I apologize, I don't know who said it, but the budget line for this item was 85,000. So although this particular contractor is not the lowest bidder, really there's 4 options that are, they're still coming in under, potentially under budget.
I also mentioned as consultant, and normally with consultants, we're really talking about the work more than the price.
It's not, we don't look at them as if they're working for us. They're our consultant, making sure that the abatement is done according to plan.
Right.
And they're overseeing all the testing and
And
clearances.
we need to trust it, but we need to believe them.
We need to, we be comfortable with them.
So,
Is it likely that another contractor would need more time on site because they're not familiar with this facility?
Well, they have to start at the beginning. Can they get from point A to B? Depends on the workload. My guess, it would take them at least a week, possibly 10 days longer, my opinion. If we had more time in the schedule, I think we would certainly allow that, but we're up against it. And we have to make some of these tougher decisions, keep the project rolling.
And I'd say when it comes to the number of days that are in there, it's up to us to make sure that the work is being done within those confines, so it's not spilling over, because then that's costing us money.
Yeah, that's our risk. If
Yeah.
it goes longer.
Right.
I think there's also something to be said because Benoni is so familiar with the job, that they are therefore the most qualified bidder. There's also, not going to be any misunderstanding of the intent of the documents on the part of the consultant, what was intended, because your hazmat consultant actually developed those.
No, there's a huge advantage to that. I also think that because they know what their biggest delta is in the meetings, they'll probably require less meetings. That delta will probably shrink in real numbers.
Yeah, I agree. We need them out there monitoring the project, not sitting in meetings, to be honest with you.
Right? Any other discussion? What discussion we've typically had. So let's take a vote on this motion. Do we have to repeat the motion or?
I can.
Yeah.
Motion to approve award of RFP 2025-007, Regional School District 13, Memorial School Hazardous Material Construction Testing and Monitoring, State Project number 213-0051, R&B/EA to Panoni for the base bid not to exceed $80,168.50.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Yep, ask for extensions just in case.
Oh, any abstentions? No abstentions. Online, do we,
Okay.
so,
Bill is a yes.
Okay.
Is that right?
thank you. Okay, that takes care of, item A. Item B, phase 4 furniture and fixtures.
Yes, so.
I can't believe you're skipping right to phase 4, right over phase 2 and 3. Jeez. Oh, no, it's shorted. Furniture.
We're right up on the list there.
Listen, you're not on the hot seat, but they're taking your thunder away. Yeah, balance. There's gonna be time, I guarantee you, there's gonna be a couple times, you're gonna hope we skip over, right?
Right.
We talk about closeout.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, close out begins on day one.
We'll have a B-1.
Oh, okay.
I got two. Need just a minute.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try to make this short because I know we have other discussions as well. However, over the past couple of weeks, I've been speaking with both Sydney and Kim in order to look ahead at the future about phase 4 of this project, which is going to be the FF&E procurement, so furniture, fixtures, and equipment that will be going into the project here at this point. So a lot of this is just providing an updated kind of anticipated timeline that we as the design team feel we can kind of achieve while still coinciding with the schedule that we have planned out for the construction activities that are ongoing at that point. Part of the discussion is going to be how exactly the community in this district wants to procure furniture for this project. There are kind of two different options and rationales that we have seen for schools. So option 1 is going to be an MHEC contract pricing, also kind of known as the Connecticut State Contract Procurement Method, which with that process, they are pre-negotiated contract pricing for individual pieces of furniture through hundreds of vendors at that point. So there are a lot of pros and cons kind of associated with both those options there. Some of the pros that we see with state contract pricing is specifically you go in with a hard number. That number is going to be the value that you pay. It won't be subject to any inflation, rising fuel costs, deliveries, anything like that. We'll be able to plan accordingly for that, and you have a fixed number. In addition to that, there's also not the ability to substitute products. So the product that we're documenting and going after is the product that the district is going to end up getting. So I think part of our process will be to meet with faculty and students, demo out a couple different pieces of furniture that would be classroom style that are going to be repeated throughout the overall facility and get some feedback on those different types there. I mean, I kind of spelled out some of the pros and cons of that. Feel free to kind of read through the different strategies there. The other option, just to kind of contrast to that, would be a normal bid process for furniture at that point. So similar to what we've done in other areas where we're soliciting services there. So you can put this out on the street and get multiple vendors to provide a number for a piece of furniture and see how that all kind of shakes out. However, in that process, what we have found is that you open yourself up to more opportunities for substituting of furniture products. So they might be physically a chair that looks somewhat similar, but it may be constructed completely different. So you may have to make concessions on certain things when you go into the realm of the bidding process there at that point. Some of the pros and advantages, some will say that there may be more favorable pricing out there. However, our experience from what we've seen is state contract pricing and specifically the MHEC pricing method that's been adopted by the state of Connecticut is already some very aggressive pricing as is. Where a lot of furniture vendors, that is their kind of rock bottom price that they start with. So it's already very highly competitive. There's a potential for maybe a little bit of a deeper discount if you go with the typical bidding method there, but it's such a volatile market. It's hard to really predict that one way or the other. So your value won't be a surefire number going into that process. So the reason I wanted to bring this up to the committee for discussion at this point, more so is to try to hone in on which method the district would like to proceed with, because depending on which way we go is going to drastically change how we approach kind of procuring furniture, talking with different consultants, talking with different vendors at that point. So I'm here to kind of spark the conversation in order to kind of get us moving along, because we do have meetings that we're working with Sydney to get scheduled with the faculty and administration this spring before they break for the summer. So this is kind of turning into a hot button topic from our end, just to make sure that we can kind of get the necessary feedback from the entire team and group there. So
Carson, have you ever, after you bid a job out, have you ever like gone back and seen what it would have cost if you did it through the procurement process, just to see if there's savings or not?
we have not, only because and I'll spare you the details. Fortunately, I haven't had to, but our interiors team works very diligently on putting together these packages. It is very cumbersome to go line by line through every single piece of furniture, because if you have a different finish, you have casters, you have different feet styles on any of the furniture, it changes the value. So it's not something as simple as trying to compare and contrast it. So we haven't seen that. So I don't know, STV, if you guys have seen that.
The process is completely different. So depending on the answer that QAM gets from the district on this process, the interior designers are going to use a completely different process, right? So if you go with option one, they're going to work primarily with one vendor. There may be another one if that vendor doesn't carry everything, right? But they're going to work primarily with a vendor. That vendor's on state contract, will know the pricing, will know the products. If you choose option two to bid, they might be working with multiple vendors or just selecting things themselves, right? It's a completely different process. Carson, can you comment on, I mean, that you're gonna make the schedule work either way, but do you feel that the interface with the state agency, is there more review on their end when it's bid versus, is there a difference in the process or the time that it takes to get the state to approve on state contract versus bidding?
So state contract, we typically see ends up being a little bit more streamlined because they're already predetermined contracts that are being referenced. If you go the bidding route, it's a lot more component-based documentation that they require kind of as you go through your individual cut sheet lists. State contract pricing lends itself to being a little bit more streamlined just from what we've seen, but we feel confident at this stage in the process that we can work towards accomplishing either method at that point. But I think our general recommendation, as we kind of summarized on here, would be proceeding with option one, because I think option one, going the state contract and the MHEC procurement method, has the most advantages to the district itself. It leaves the most unknowns out of the equation in that whole process there.
Question,
Sure.
is there a cap to what you can spend on a state contract? What they playing with that with the playground equipment, you can spend more money than X dollars?
Not that I'm aware of when it comes to furniture.
Is the playground in here?
So playgrounds will be included in phase 4. This is going to be mostly a conversation about furniture and
Okay,
equipment at that point.
so there's
but
no cap on what you.
Not
can
that
follow
I'm
in
aware of.
the
I can
state
follow up on it,
Okay.
but we've had some pretty large furniture packages go
Yeah.
out for other projects. I'm sure you can attest to that as well. And I haven't seen that come up in any of our
They just
discussions.
playground, they were,
Okay.
they were trying to, push off of that.
Okay.
Carson, is there any difference in using the state versus bidding in terms of like making sure the supply actually arrives when it says it does, that part of it? Because I've been in situations in schools where we ordered some great furniture and then it didn't show up for 4 or 5 months. Like,
Right.
is the state any more reliable in that sense, or could that happen either way?
So the state doesn't actually have anything to do with it at this point. It's just the name of the overall contract. So the MHEC is a consortium
Yeah.
that is kind of supervised of all these different contracts at that point. And what we've had many conversations over the past year as the state's looking to adopt this, in which they finally have, is that the MHEC has a lot more leverage with these vendors because they hold all these contracts with them at that point. So what we've been told is that the MHEC ends up being an advocate if anything such as that kind of comes up where we're not getting service, we're not getting deliveries on time, something of that nature. They can be an advocate for the district as well through that effort.
Because they don't want to lose that relationship.
Correct.
There's already
Exactly, yep.
pre-vetted status.
What I like about option one is that vendor can actually work with you based on your budget, where you're
Yeah.
getting feedback, where where you're putting together a list of furniture and you're saying that's not within our budget, let's make adjustments, and then you could kind of massage it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely would recommend that. I mean, I do that all the time. The thing about it is it's not just one vendor. You have options to go to multiple vendors. For example, you know, fixed furniture, there might be a particular vendor that is more proficient at that versus say cabinetry. So then they will be on the state bid list as well. So you do have flexibility if somebody can't deliver a particular product to look at multiple vendors. So in a way, you do have the ability to get multiple looks at a particular product. The other thing is, it doesn't prevent any vendor from using a lower price. They can bid lower than what the state bid minimum is. So you still have ability to get better pricing than's actually listed.
So my understanding, just from a discussion standpoint, is that the MHEC is a little bit different and more strict than the previous state contract kind of method, which when we were following the previous Connecticut contracts that they were holding, I would agree with you 100% because we utilize that for a lot of our furniture procurement methods there. My understanding is with MHEC, that price is a fixed price. The only additional benefit that you might get would be a bulk quantity discount. So let's say if you're looking at procuring all your student chairs through All Seating from a manufacturer standpoint, and that manufacturer is providing contract pricing to MHEC, we can request direct pricing from them to further get a little bit more of a haircut from the MHEC pricing. So there are other levers that can be pulled in that, to your point.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're gonna see major significant cuts compared to.
No, the pricing for FF&E is very good. It's one of the few commodities that is market value. A lot of them are not. Those seem to be.
Yeah, and back to Sydney's point, I mean, I think part of the reason that there's state contracts, you know, pervasive on furniture and equipment is that people need this stuff right away. When they're not doing a major renovation project, but for whatever reason, they need to order new classroom chairs or whatever, it's so cumbersome going through the bid process that's sort of the reasoning why these lists were developed. So you can procure things right away. I'm sure you procure things on contract lists all the time, right? Whether it's maintenance supplies or whatever, it just makes it easier, more streamlined.
And the specs are already developed. You don't have to develop your specs and standards if you're going up if you're going up the MHEC.
Well, so we still will customize it towards the district and what the needs are. So we still have to go through that effort, but fine tuning which pathway we're going to kind of proceed is going to help us get off on the right foot from the get-go. That's ultimately our main goal here.
How do you select the vendor by March 11th?
So
Oh, they're ready to go.
with that, in our discussion, in my discussions with both Kim and Sydney, we did provide 3 recommendations for furniture vendors that are within the state that we have worked with on multiple school projects.
So
These
these higher end of state contract, you don't need to go after it.
Correct. Yep. So with the MHEC platform, we don't have to bid anything.
Jordan, will we get it for free? If we get it.
If both UConn teams make it to the final round, you can.
For the one, the men.
Ugh.
But I received 3, like Carson said, I received the 3 vendor qualifications today. Just, books, some are this big, some are this big, but so I've already got three vendors, and that would be next meeting for you guys to take a look at them and decide, or bring them all 3 of them in and have them present at the next building committee, 15-20 minutes each.
Right.
But when it used to be that you could buy off the state bid list, but you'd still end up with multiple vendors,
Yeah.
like John said, because like Red Thread may provide everything, but not cafeteria tables
Mhm.
or not file cabinets. So you would end up with like 5 to 8 different
Right.
vendors anyway. Is that going to be the case here?
So I think the goal is we may have different manufactured products, because to John's point is that certain vendors may have certain types of furniture and equipment that others don't. So you may still have that difference. The goal behind option 1 with kind of trying to get a partner to work with at this point is that they represent all of those under one entity, so they can be the conduit if any questions come up. You can just give them a call. They'll be there to answer any inventory issues. Things aren't being delayed, installation issues, they're gonna be supervising that. If there's a warranty issue down the road, all Eric has to do is pick up the phone, make a call to them. They will assist in that process there. So I think what we're really looking for, we're trying to go down this option one, is truly identifying a partner that focuses in furniture that can help us as well as help the administration, faculty, and community determine what the best options are out there. Because as much as we deal with furniture on a regular basis, we don't live furniture like these vendors do day in and day out. So they are a great resource that we can tap into to make sure that we're getting the best products out there that meet the needs of the district and students at that
Well,
point.
and I've
I want to
seen,
make sure that I stop for a minute because Phil's had his hand up for a while. So if we can just let Phil in to talk.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Am I correct in just interpreting the option one, the pricing is already completely fixed, option two, it's not?
Correct. Yeah, so
Ye-
option
yeah.
one, it's fixed pricing, and it doesn't matter what vendor you're procuring
Right.
that through. They have fixed prices for that same chair, no matter who you're working with.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just add the point. I think with what's going on right now in the Middle East, all this stuff is petroleum based. I think from a cost standpoint, there's probably some upside risk going out to bid right now, with the urgency of having to do that. So I think from that perspective, I think there's also probably some cost advantages of having set pricing already within option one.
Does either option determine the design? If we go with option one versus option two, are we open to different materials or different products?
Technically, no. What I have seen is when we go with a project or a path that's option two, where you're publicly bidding this out, we try to limit what I'm going to call more unique type of furniture elements, where it may be harder to find a true equal to that product, where it may run the risk of not getting something close enough if they try to substitute things. So like I said, it's just a different approach. It doesn't mean that you can't go in with the base of design that you're looking for, but if it's something so unique that only one or two vendors actually offer something like that, you may run the risk of getting something that's a little bit different than what we were anticipating if it's substituted.
and I will say that I feel option one it's a general approach, right? Probably most of the stuff will be procured from a single vendor and under state contract, but you might have some deviations. So say they don't like any of the chairs or whatever, a particular lectern, they don't like any of them that are on state contract. We might have to go to a different vendor, or we might even have to bid some small package out if for some reason we cannot find, like in high schools with VOAG equipment or whatever, you might just not find some stuff on state contract. So I would say that the option one is a general approach. You're agreeing to procure stuff through state contract purchasing rather than bidding it. And, most of the stuff will come with the advice of this vendor partner. However, as the design team moves forward, you may find that some of that stuff isn't coming from that specific vendor, or you may find an advantage of bidding something specific out. So I think it's a general approach. Is that fair to say?
Just hire the vendor to provide these services, but we won't know the price until we actually pick out all the furniture.
Correct. So the goal here isn't that you're hiring anyone, because their upside is within that MHEC contract. It's built into those numbers that are there. So you guys essentially, if you proceed with option one, is really determining who do you feel is the best fit for the district, long-term, kind of who you want to be a partner if you want to look at things in the future, working with them at that point. Again,
How do they get paid?
they get paid when they place an order for the furniture through the state contract process or
They get a
MAPC.
piece of the.
So their numbers are into those contracts already.
And Carson, those three vendors have access to pretty much the same stock.
If they're partners of MHEC, they're gonna be able to have access to the same offerings of the furniture at the same price.
Customer service.
It's the customer service side, yes, it's a good way to put it.
Now, is this a decision that has to be made by the building committee or can this be made by admin? You need us to participate
You
or?
don't need to make the decision, but we wanted your opinion and your input and.
But, so we would decide option 1 or 2 and then
And we take.
selection of the vendor is completely an administrative decision because you're gonna decide what.
And we could do that. So then, you could meet the 3 vendors in a building committee meeting, or Cindy and I can do it, and a few other.
My suggestion, when Kim and I spoke about it last week, is that we handle it a little bit, about when we were doing some of the prior interviews, is that the building committee makes this decision, option 1 or 2. And then we have maybe Kim, Eric, and one of the building principals, or like a small subcommittee, do the interview of those 3 vendors and choose one. And report back to the building committee.
Yeah, I mean, I might want to know who they are, just from, I know a lot of people here have worked with these vendors before, so it'd be good to at least get input.
It sounds like John's volunteering to be on
That-
this.
Yeah, I think that's great. Do you need us to, do you need a motion? Or?
No,
just a
I mean,
general
my palette here essentially is I want to make sure I'm reading the room correctly. If there's a general inclination that proceeding with option 1 is the path that you want to go, that's the way we want to proceed, because that's going to set the tone for how we start our process.
Yeah.
I'd hate to completely about face 3 months down the road or something like that. Because then that will kind of cause a little bit more logistical headaches on our end to kind of.
But to Angela's point too, we do have the ability to, if we don't like certain things, we can still
Absolutely.
bid it. So it's kind of the best of
Absolutely.
both worlds.
Yep.
Maybe it would be best right now to just say, is anybody opposed to option 1?
Yeah, yeah. Is there any opposition to option 1? Great. Yeah, sounds like you have,
Okay. No, I appreciate that. That helps us at least get the clarity where we need to go, how we'll kind of proceed.
One other question, do you give the vendor the time schedule, so when the furniture has to be delivered?
Correct, yeah,
That's
so.
part of the deal.
Yep, as part of the proposals that we kind of sent out for the qualifications, essentially, like the introduction, who they are, what their experience is, everything like that. We did provide them an overall timeline of when we were expecting, so we are looking at we gave them a July 27 furniture delivery at that point. So July, August in that window is kind of coinciding with OMG's projected construction schedule at that point. And we'll be able to fine tune that, but I think the overall schedule that's kind of outlined on the form I handed out, with a PCR review with the state in October, it's going to be more than enough time to make sure that we get an order placed and it's going to be available for when we need school to be occupied.
I met with leadership team today and we started making the schedule for the principals of meetings. For May.
Great.
And then I
Great.
think it's just for the building committee to know, the plan was to maybe have the vendor set up a couple of mock classrooms for the staff to come see and decide.
Correct. So things like that, that we've done in the past for other schools, when we're looking at a whole school there is, we've had demo furniture brought in. It can be a group discussion with the administration, with certain faculty members, students, get some initial feedback, and then they can leave that furniture there for a week, 2 weeks, let people come in and out, kind of test it out, see what their feelings are towards it, kind of thing. So we can really make that flexible, and having that partner up front really leverages their ability to kind of help make a more informed decision.
Is that something we could open to the public?
It's really more of a facility thing more than anything else. So as long as there's the ability.
It would be nice to have it set up for our back to school days, right? So when all the teachers are actually at the high school for the first day or two, doing some professional learning, so they would all be able to see it. So we could probably talk about keeping it open at night, right?
I think that'd just be something really physical that
That's great.
you could see,
Sure.
I was gonna say, where I was actually wondering like about maybe a select group of students, only because like I used to, when Yale New Haven was building the new NICU there, I chaired that committee and they brought in a bunch of like the moms and said like, okay, here's like a mock room, like sitting in, like, I remember the first thing everyone said was like, oh my God, the outlet is so far like from like the bed, and that no one like thought about that. And like, so sometimes you get like these like weird like nuances, and so like, or like they might be like, actually like these chairs are super uncomfortable to sit in.
I was just
I know, like, yeah, the questions are right there, we all see that, you know, but, like, so you kind of like get, like, some good feedback, you know, those things, you know.
Except these chairs last for 50 years.
That's true too, yeah. It's good
I can
quality.
guarantee you, teachers are all gonna sit in the chair.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was thinking more like the students, you know.
And I think that's gonna be an important part too, because with elementary school furniture, I mean, I can't really demo elementary school furniture and give an educated opinion on it, you know? It's just proportionally, it's not the right size. So I think getting some of that student buy-in will be important. See how they react to it, see how they use, you
Yeah,
know, the teachers are the ones that kind of deal with the students day in and day out in that capacity. So I think getting some of that feedback in a limited capacity, obviously,
Yeah.
whatever's appropriate, as determined by the administration, but yeah.
Awesome. So I guess you'll set up a focus group meeting
Yeah, so if that's the case, I can work with Kim and Sydney and we'll figure out,
and then just report
how
back.
to review the couple proposals you guys have received, so.
Great. Before we move on to approval of invoices, phases 2 and 3.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Okay, so just to give you an update on phase 2, the abatement and demolition contractor has put the application in for the demolition permit. We're planning on starting work physically on site March 16th. That was what our target date was when we went out to bid, and we're still on that. I know, Eric, you've been working with our team, as far as getting the rest of the salvage IT stuff has got to come out, right?
It'll be out by the 12th, he's telling me.
Okay, so you have till, Friday the 13th. And then there's PV coordination. There's a meeting being set up next week to go over with that
Yes,
vendor.
Wednesday. Yep.
So things are starting to happen with phase 2. And as far as phase 3 goes, we went out to bid today. I sent the invitation to bid out. That has the link to the bid documents. There's a pre-bid meeting on site next Wednesday. It's very short. It's a very short turnaround. I hope the snow will be melted. But if I wait till the following week, the building will be under construction. So I wanted to get the pre-bid meeting done before they actually start physical work and start ripping everything apart. So we're gonna meet on site. Our contractors will have the ability to come back and visit the school or the building or the grounds if they want to see anything, because we'll have people on site starting next week full time. Bids are due the 31st, but that's not gonna hold. It's just the first date that I went out with. Just to get on everybody's schedule. And I'm gonna be issuing addendum 1, if there's something you have really quick, if you wanna get me tomorrow. I'm gonna be issuing addendum 1 on Friday because, our construction schedule's gotta get issued and I wanna do it this week. We just, internally, we missed our time frame to get it to me before I hit the go button, so I gotta get the construction schedule out. It does right now show an end date of August 12th, 2027. So that's it with the construction schedule. Also, there's risks that we need to start managing. And I'll talk to, Carson, you know, we just need to follow up on that OSTA for the building permit, right?
Yeah,
To
so I
make sure.
can give an update in regards to OSTA. So we did receive an email last week with them finally acknowledging that the plan is approved. They gave 4 items that they wanted us just to correct, as well as a couple of emails from the local building official, just reaffirming that he's not going to issue a building permit until OSTA has approved the overall plan there. We have since replied back with all of the comments, revisions, made the adjustments that have been requested. So hopefully we'll be able to get a confirmation on that in the formal approval letter within the week.
And that should be holding up the demolition permit. It would just be
Correct.
holding up the building
Yeah,
permit. and
any
that building-
foundation work.
The building
Yeah.
isn't gonna be starting until like mid-May. So we have
Yeah.
time, but it's just something we need to keep an eye on. As well as the stormwater general permit for DEP. We need that in order to start site activities. And we got caught up in the whole website being down. You couldn't apply until January 1st. So that's just one more thing on our radar for phase 3 to make sure that it doesn't get lost in the tracks with us physically starting work on site.
Now, will we need to bid out an RFP for the stormwater consultant?
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so that will be another one that we should probably talk about putting out an RFP sooner rather than later, just so it's not as quick of a turnaround as what the hazmat ended up being. I like to keep you busy, Ken.
So, and that's basically, I don't know if anybody has any questions, if they saw anything, or Eric, I don't know if you had anything else to add.
Just there's a network splice that needs to be made according to our IT department with the existing Crown Castle there, CEN.
Yep.
I get,
Yeah, we saw those emails come through.
okay. The way I interpret it is that the connection at Memorial now affects some neighboring properties. They need to get in there before any demo takes place.
Is this the one that's in by the media center?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't know. We're not starting there. I know we're starting from the back and working forward, so.
I don't know what it's like, so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So who's managing them? Like who's, you need my guy, our project manager to manage that whole thing or?
I think we just need to get the okay on the quote that they supplied us for the splice that needs to be.
Yeah, Ken was pursuing it, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure if he got that yet.
But that's important.
Gotta be a
Before any,
fee.
you know, before the 16th, that we get
Yes,
that.
that's another open
He
item.
is actively working on that.
Okay, good.
So when they make the splice, are they gonna have any active fiber on the site?
Not the way I interpret it.
Okay, so they are bringing in the new fiber from that pole, SNP pole 877 that was on the drawing,
After,
when all said and
Yes,
done?
yes.
Yes, okay. Okay,
I believe that's how it's laid out.
yeah, yep.
Who do you use for your phone service now?
It's Frontier, but it's CEN is,
It's the one that took the education.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And, but we're going voice over IP phone system,
Oh, we
right?
have now, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Next to your trailer.
We will.
Yeah, we're
Or
working.
need the
we're
fiber.
the fiber's coming from CEN.
Right, that's good, but that's.
I believe
Yeah.
that's the way, that's what the district kind of wants.
Yeah.
So.
He's right, yeah, you need that. Okay, gotcha.
So we
You
got
just
a
probably need a
little-
new Comcast for fire alarm or whatever.
Fire is, well, after it's all said.
Unless you have. a-
Yeah, analog, you'll need nurse and
Yeah,
elevator.
just a few, but Comcast would be.
That'll give us our rack internally.
Correct.
Yeah.
I just have a question on, phase 3 and how it gets advertised. I'm sure you guys have, vendors that have been notified.
Yes, we hit them today, so we have a whole bidding platform where we upload all the documents and then they're already entered in. And it's just a blast, so they get the blast, plus we have somebody that makes calls to let them know. People hear that we have projects coming out to bid, so they call us when you coming out to bid, when you coming out to bid, so. We have somebody that's making phone calls and there's an email blast that is sent out the minute that we hit the button, which we did, that's what we hit, and then. Kim put it up on the portal, the bid board portal, and then we'll be placing the advertisement in the paper. And we also have to do, a minority publication, to satisfy the good.
And the DAS.
efforts.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you put it on the website too?
Yes.
Okay. See, she's all.
So everybody that is in the industry will know that this is.
Yes.
Yeah, and people are looking for work, people are looking for work, so.
Mhm.
What else is out around, I mean, are there other projects
We have.
similar?
We have two others that are down in Norwich, but they're project labor agreements, so it's really, it should be a different set. We shouldn't be in too much competition with that. And we also have another job going out to bid down in Stanford, which is another PLA, so it's a smaller site enabling package. I don't know if there's anything else on the street right now from other CMs.
Not school wise, I don't think.
Yeah, not from our end either.
We were trying to be first, we were trying to be first on the gate.
There's two monster jobs at Yale out on the street right now. They're both
Those are
really-
private, so,
Really? Great, well, this is exciting.
yeah.
Obviously, anybody in the building committee that wants to attend the, pre-bid is able to.
Yep,
Yeah.
no problem.
Riveting.
It's riveting.
We'll be there.
Alan, do you mind if I give a quick update?
No, please.
I just wanted to update the building committee that we had a really exciting meeting today with our partners. We're going to be working with ONG, STB, and QA&M, all of our acronyms there. And we met with all of our building leaders today about how they're going to be working with our kids through the whole project. So we talked a lot about ideas all the way pre-K through 12 of how the kids are going to be involved in the building project in a whole wide variety of ways. And I want to thank all of you for that, because that's going to be really fun for the next year as this is happening.
We just didn't touch on physical ed, like the interpretive dance one. We didn't talk about that one. We talked about every other curriculum topic.
You can leave that.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, no, it was a really good conversation. There's gonna be a lot of great ways that kids are gonna get excited about this, and then at the high school level, excitement, but also some mentoring programs incorporating with our capstone project, just really being able to get students interested in, you know, in skills trades, and a whole lot of ideas came forward. It was great.
Awesome. I guess, with Christine, how is the naming committee, mascot committee?
Good, so, basically, I'm gonna be sending out some emails to the administrators, and you'll see some parent square messages coming, some community postings coming, but we're gonna vote the week of March 16th. So, there's gonna be a ballot box at each town hall, where people can, you know, community members can stop in and vote. But more importantly, I think, is that every student is going to be able to vote, the week of the 16th. Fifth grade and up will do it through a Google form. Elementary schools, they're just gonna do like a quick raise your hand, you know, sort of thing. So I think that's good. We've kind of cleared everything. We cleared one of the names with Deep just to make sure. I will say I spilled the beans to 2 fourth grade classes on Monday with Read Across America Day and told them they were gonna be able to vote, and I am now the coolest person ever. Just in case anyone didn't know that. So they were like, the kids just thought that was like the coolest thing, that they were gonna get to vote for the name. And then when I told them they were also gonna get to vote for a mascot down the road, then they were like, oh, well, what are the ideas? And I'm like, you guys, you tell me. And there were a lot of ideas, a lot.
So is it, when they're voting, is it still those definite 3 names, or can they add names if they are coming?
No,
up with
it is
ideas?
just those 3
3.
names. We did discuss that as a committee about, do we leave off blanket, but I think everybody was kind of like.
Square one again.
Yeah, so, and I think the 3 names kind of give you like 3 very different options too. And we're working on finalizing that communication to describe those 3 names so that people understand what each name is.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. And with, between that and the webpage, it seems like we're finally getting,
It's looking good.
some engagement. Awesome. Any other, discussions on the project, on the, on Memorial before we go to invoices? All right, go to invoices.
3 quick invoices. I have vendors CubeSmart, invoice number 149017, $272, and that's for storage for the month of March. I have DACO, invoice number 29801, $16,339.20, and that's for February. And I have STV, invoice number 1277, $14,840, and that's owner's rep services.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the invoices as noted?
Motion approved, invoices as read by Kim.
Second, great. We have a motion to approve the invoices as read by Kim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, item 6, public comment. Any members of the public online?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, a motion to adjourn.
Wait, what other business? Is there, you don't have a place for other
We
business?
don't really have to-
All right.
We usually throw it under memorial expansion.
Oh, can I ask a question?
Please.
Your next building committee meeting is the beginning of April, is that true? Nothing for March, from here on out?
I thought we had them every 2
We're pretty much every 2
I
weeks.
don't remember seeing it in the
I
calendar.
think it's the 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, we added it as this got more intense, we decided to just hold them every 2 weeks and
Okay,
cancel
but I
if
didn't see it in the
necessary.
calendar. All right, so you guys are meeting in 2 weeks?
Unless there's no reason to.
Right.
Wednesday, the
think we
18th.
Let me see if there's a conflict.
We have finance committee, that's fine.
Yeah, so your next meeting, I thought, was in April.
I think you're right. I guess I don't have it.
Because
on
we
my
have
calendar.
another committee, the
Okay.
finance committee.
And that's fine. I'm not gonna need
So
you.
I guess what we said is if we felt that we needed it, we could have a special meeting on another night, even just a Google Meet.
All right,
Yeah, why don't we leave it that way for now, because they're kind of busy right in the middle.
I'm busy right now, but in April,
We need to-
your first meeting will be the beginning of April. That's fine. I may not even have bids in yet at that point. But you probably have a meeting in the middle of April then, but aren't you around vacation time?
15th,
Yeah.
So it's like, we're gonna have to work around
We
that.
have the first and the
I may,
15th.
I'm gonna need a special meeting probably in April.
That's fine.
And your regular meeting probably isn't gonna work.
We should pay attention to that.
Yes.
You know, honestly, whenever you feel there's a need, if it falls in an odd week, just let us know and.
Yeah.
we'll
I'll
make it
have
happen.
more information at your April meeting.
And you need a week notice, how much time you need for scheduling a special meeting?
Actually, 48 hours.
Okay. All right, so we just be aware of that.
Needing to vote on the contract.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is get the first few released so that we can get started and then we can take our time with some of the other ones.
And just give enough notice so that we can ensure we have a quorum.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but anytime you feel that there's a need for it, yeah, just let us know. We'll schedule something.
And we'll have our invoice to you for next week.
Okay. Any other items of note? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Right, Jerry?
I was asking you about a break.
You can do it.
It was like.
Thank you.
on my list.
Great job, everybody.
I think.
Today.
I think I got it. The important things. But not my time.
Yeah.
That's all. Right home yesterday, Laurel.
It wasn't bad, actually. You know what? They must have had no school.
Well-
There was barely